Hello, I'm Juliet Hoey and I'd like to read you some excerpts from my latest novel, Miranda's Tempest. Miranda's Tempest is a crime novel with a music background. Enjoy. Bribie Island, Queensland. The beach at Wooreen is 1,000 miles from anywhere, or so it seems. To be sure, there are signs of civilization if you go looking for them. Behind the surf club, the village clusters around its pub, its newsagent, its clutch of small friendly shops. A mega trendy apartment block peers with funky insolence over the dunes. Nearby, the Lifesavers Tower performs its time-honoured task of shark spotting and surf rescue. All of this is attractive enough, I dare say, but it is not the Wooreen that I know. It's not the beach that I adore. Instead, my small kingdom lies some distance away. Down near the end of Boyd Street, just past the lookout, you come upon a small path. This sandy track ambles its way through scrubby trees and bracken to twist a little before opening out onto the beach. At the end of the path, sea and sky appear from nowhere, blue upon blue in a frame of dark green. The magic never fails. Through this enchanted portal, I am gently led into another world, a Narnia of my own making. From my vantage point under the shade of the casuarina trees, I can look out now across the boat passage to Moreton Island. Swathed in its gauzy scarf, the ever-changing colours mirror the caprices of the weather. Today, pale blue, tomorrow, soft amethyst. Sometimes, darkly menacing, it turns into a monster of jagged grey hills which sulk beneath angry clouds. At other times, the distant island retreats behind a curtain of fine, misty rain to disappear from view altogether. How easy, then, to imagine that there is no Moreton at all, that Bribie exists alone in these wild waters, a castaway's refuge adrift in an endless sea. This is Miranda's story, not mine. I suppose I should let her tell it herself. Indeed, I begged her to, but she was adamant right from the beginning. "You tell it, Veronica," she said. "You're the one with the gift of the gab. And you were involved right from the word go. I'd only get it all muddled. Besides, I still find it hard sometimes even to think about it." I could well understand that, but still I hesitated. "Please," she continued, "you're the one that helped me most the whole way through, and especially at the end. You and Sarah. The way you both worked it out was just brilliant. If you hadn't, they wouldn't have got to me in time. I'd have died on the spot, and you know that." I sighed. "Okay, you win. But what about all those occasions when I wasn't there with you? You'd have to fill me in on them. And do you really think that you could face having to go over the whole thing again and then telling me exactly how it happened?" She nodded. "I know I'll find it hard, but it's such an unbelievable story that it has to be told, and you're the only person I can trust to tell it." There's something spooky about water. Source of life and giver of pleasure, this precious gift is a two-edged sword. Sustainer and destroyer, enabler and killer, it both fascinates and repels. It has done this to the human race since the dawn of creation, when the spirit hovered over the waters. One evening many years ago, with young Helen safely tucked up in bed under the watchful eye of her Aunt Sarah, my beloved husband and I had strolled down to the beach for a rare romantic moment together. We stood for quite a while, arm in arm, on top of the dunes. For once we had the place all to ourselves. But as we gazed into the peaceful darkness, this queer thing happened. It happened to both of us, and it happened so unexpectedly that we almost gasped for breath. For no apparent reason, we were enveloped in a silent terror as the scene appeared to change before our incredulous eyes. Suddenly, the sea transformed itself from the benign companion of our sunlit days into a hideous monster, a thing of menace, its heaving waters black with hidden secrets of evil and untold horror. The feeling was raw, elemental, terrifying. Clutching hands, we turned tail and ran the whole way back to the cottage. One day, recently, I was on the beach at White Patch talking to old Seth. "I wonder just how many wrecks there are half buried in the passage," I asked. "Dunno about that, but I can tell you this much, lady. There's more things down there in Davy Jones's locker than you could poke a stick at." "What did you mean, Seth? What things are down there? Just harmless old wrecks like the Avon? Or is there something more?" I thought of sailors lost at sea, of travellers washed overboard, of bones washed clean by endless tides. I thought of ancient wrecks, their rotting timbers hiding ghastly secrets fathoms deep in ocean vaults. I pondered tales of ghost ships like the Marie Celeste, with its spectral hulk forever doomed to float in eerie silence upon an empty sea. I remembered the night ocean and the terrors of a summer's evening with my husband by the shore. But James was long since gone, and there was no one now to share my fear. She never wanted to go in the first place. For a start, she hated boats and had been terrified of water ever since that hideous day when she fell out of her brother's dinghy on the canal at the bottom of the garden. She was 5 years old. Visions of eerie green depths, clotted with water weeds that covered her face as she struggled for breath, were to haunt her for the rest of her life. She never learned to swim. "Don't be an old wet blanket," her husband teased 18 years later. "Besides, do you want to spoil our holiday?" She hesitated, then smiled up at him. "No, I don't want to spoil it. It's all been great, and tomorrow is our last day." "Better put on plenty of suntan oil then," he returned our smile. "It's going to be a stinker of a morning." They pushed off into the shallows of the boat ramp, and as the motor fired smartly, the little boat gained speed and made smooth headway across the clear blue waters of the bay, with only one small delay to interrupt their journey. She relaxed a little then, fears forgotten for the moment, as she savoured the unfamiliar joy of cool sea winds that fanned her long fair hair, while the gentle shoreline slipped smoothly by with languid ease as the hours passed. Nearly time to make landfall. Morning turned to noon. Suddenly the weather changed. Gone was the pleasant ambience of early morning. Now the sun burned down with savage cruelty from a dense bronze sky. Thick, damp air, pregnant with unshed rain, lay like a suffocating blanket upon earth and sea, until huge black clouds appeared from nowhere to begin their mad race across the darkening sky. She shuffled restlessly on the hard wooden bench, her tranquil mood gone with the coolness of the morning. Why do I feel so frightened? It's not just the sea this time. It's not the storm that's coming, even though I can't stand storms. It's something I don't understand. It's something... Anxious for reassurance, she looked round at him. He stood up, balancing with an easy confidence. "Sweetheart," he said, "I have to do this, you know. You've given me no choice."